Morning. So yesterday I made a two-part video on the difference between three different knife grinds, which I'll upload shortly. And bought along today, this is to follow on from that, so this is like part 3 kind of thing. Again, to help you beginners out there and help to choose a grind eventually what's going to work for you. And bought not one of my favourites, well, let's just say not my favourites, but one of my favourites is the Buck 124 Frontiersman model. It's very hard to get in the UK. I believe I got this several years ago in a trade because I've been after one for quite a few times, for quite a few years. And this one, when I reviewed it that year that I got it, this is the knife that surprised me the most out of all the knives that I used that particular year. I think maybe three years ago I reviewed it, I'm not too sure. So out of all the knives that particular year, 3 years ago, this is what surprised me the most. And so to follow on from yesterday's talk about knife grinds, this is called a hollow grind. A hollow grind is basically a bit similar to a flat grind in the way that it's designed for delicate work, slicing, and slicing, skinning, that kind of thing. It's traditional kind of Bowie knife. Would have had obviously in America, hence the name Buck, which is American made, 100% American made, and been going a long time. So hollow grind, so it can look a bit like a flat grind, but when you look closely and you tilt the blade, you can see this portion of the edge there. It's kind of like a concave shape, so it like bends inwards and then out, so it's like that. So it's not oval, so it's like it bends inward. I can just see that. Okay, that angle might be better. Okay, so you see that curve? So where the crasso is there, you can just see it, that outward curve, inward curve, shall I say. And that's what's called a hollow grind. So they grind all that out as thin as possible. Now, the advantage of having a hollow grind is it is extremely good at slicing. Really good at slicing. And you'll find hollow grinds on a lot of kitchen knives these days. Kitchen knives, possibly butcher's knives, to a certain degree, fish knives, and things of that nature, because that's what it's designed for. Slicing meat, slicing your veggies, things of that nature, doing really delicate tasks. But the cons of having a hollow grind in the world of bushcraft and survival, etc., is that the edge of a hollow grind is grind so thin that it can easily chip and break. So that's why I was shocked when I thought, why are the guys at Buck making a heavy duty knife such as this, full tang, thick tang as well. I think this might be probably just over 5 mil, probably nearly 6. It's certainly got thick stock to it, full tang all the way through the handle. So why would Buck make this such a beast of a blade and make it into a hollow grind? It just doesn't make sense, right? And Buck are really masters of their trade when it comes to steel. They really are. They've been doing it a long time. They definitely know what they're doing. So why not? So I've used a lot of Buck knives before, and obviously I've used this one before because I reviewed it maybe 3, maybe even 4 years ago. I don't know. Time elapses very quickly. And you know, so I couldn't wait to try it. You know, a full tang knife, heavy duty knife, thick stock, hollow grind. You know, just why? You know, why not convex? Why not a flat grind with secondary bevel? Or even a Scandi? You know, why a hollow grind? Why would you make a weak grind on a heavy duty knife? Like kind of Bowie style, or Bowie if you're in the States style knife. And Buck being Buck, they knew that, and they wasn't worried. Why was Buck not worried about making a heavy duty knife, a Bowie kind of knife in a hollow grind? Because Buck are not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing with the steel. They know people are going to use this for maybe heavy duty and wood carving and things like that. So these are the things that they already know. And it was very clever. And the reason why they are very clever is because of the heat treat. They use what's called a Boss heat treat, Paul Boss heat treat, which is very unique to Buck. Buck have been using the Boss heat treat, you know, for forever, at least since the 60s, 1960s, I know. So, and it's only basic steel. You know, they make steels like, you know, like 420 steel and 420 stainless steel and things like that. They've suddenly upgraded to S34 and S35, so they are bringing their steels into the modern day world to obviously keep up with the competition. But there is nothing wrong with their standard steel, this is their standard steel, and there's nothing wrong with it. You know, so, you know, why would you want to upgrade steel if there's nothing wrong with it? There's absolutely nothing wrong with this heat treat whatsoever. In my review, I chopped with it, I batoned with it, and, you know, I wasn't gentle with it. I definitely wasn't gentle with it. I tested the tip into a log. Obviously I did some fine carving with it. Pretty much all day I did that. And after my review, when I came to inspect the blade, as I always do with my blade in my knife reviews, you know, there wasn't, to my amazement, there wasn't a single blemish on the blade at all. Nothing. No rolls, no chips, nothing. So I was thinking, wow, this, you know, this amazing steel, this, you know, it's only 420 stainless steel. You know, so their heat treat must be incredibly good, really, really good. And one of their secrets to making a substantial knife like this is obviously because of their Boss heat treat, and B, because they knew if they just left this at a hollow grind, they knew it wouldn't stand up to hard abuse. So what they did to combat that is two things. Number one is they have reinforced the edge with a secondary bevel, which goes all the way along, right through to the tip, all the way along, 100% accurate on both sides, 100% accurate on both sides, and it's quite thick as well, secondary bevel. Okay, so if we look at it at the side from the Ricasso, so it's like a V-edge, quite a shallow V-edge, but when you look at it, it's quite substantial. You know, if you look at the Kepot style knife that I made, I put the same edge on mine. So although this is not a hollow grind, this is a flat grind. But if you look at the secondary bevel on this, trying to focus on my phone again, on this there, you can just see it on top, shining. Okay, how small that is, and then compare it to how big the secondary bevel is on there. You know, I'd say, fly on it, how dare you fly. So I'd say it's a good 1.5 to 2 mil thicker on that edge than it is on the flat grind. So it is quite substantial. and they were very clever in the way that they've done it. And like I said, by the time I finished all my tests, that was including a lot of heavy batoning with this, with logs that was only just the thickness, the length of this knife. So when I was batoning through it, only the point there was poking out, and it was birch. I baton birch, I baton pine with it, and the pine was which I used to call the log of death. For those who might have watched some of my older videos in the past. And I called it log of death because the pine that I used to have was absolutely rock hard. It was like concrete, and this managed to baton through that despite being knotty at the bottom, if I remember rightly. And you know, not a single blemish on the blade at all, nothing. Which on the year when I first got this, you know, it kind of shocked me in a way. I thought, you know, this is actually something else. You know, they definitely know what they're doing when they made a knife like this. I mean, yes, it won't stand up to stabbing it through a car and chopping through bricks and things like that, like I've seen on some other people's videos. But obviously, it's not going to be a knife designed to do that. But what it is designed to do is to skin your game, you know, process wood and kindling and things like that. So it's kind of a heavy-duty version of a hunting knife, of the traditional hunting knife. But I said there was two things that they did. So one was reinforce the edge of a secondary bevel right the way along the hollow grind, which works exceptionally well. The other thing they did to prevent the tip from snapping off is this clip point here, as you can see. Now, normally on books, on the book 119, you'll see like a swedge, a big clip point, and it bends up to a lovely nice swedge. Okay. But this is slightly different. So you've still got your clip point, but instead of cutting out that swedge, what they've done is they've reinforced it with like a chisel kind of edge. It's really hard to focus, but I'll try. And you can, if the camera's picking that up, so this part here on both sides, you can probably see. So it's got a cutout, so they've grind this part down here into a chisel type edge, which reinforces that tip area there considerably. Now obviously I have tested this tip, but I need to do an up-to-date probably review on it as well, which I'll add it in the pipeline. And that worked exceptionally well. But not only that, is that you can really get in there close when you're carving through wood and put your finger there rather than having a sharp swedge. So obviously because they've rounded that off as well, and it's really good for getting into the corners, and really tough tip. So these guys at Buck, they really know what they're doing. These guys, they've been doing it long enough. The steel's superb, as long as you're not going to be doing something absolutely stupid with it and using the knife as its intended purpose. But yeah, I was really impressed with it. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to compare it in carving with yesterday's winner. So if you've clicked on this video before, try and look at part 1 of different knife grinds. So yesterday's winner overall was this, which is the Barco 2449 wrecking knife. Okay, I've had this I think coming up to a year now, and it's superb. You know, it's not the best Scandi grind I've ever used, but I would say it's definitely probably the second best Scandi grind I've ever used, and that is saying something because I've used hundreds of knives and I'm very picky with my knives as well, as you may well know. Get my words rightly. So yeah. So this from yesterday, obviously comparing different grinds. This is the same wood I used yesterday. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pick a spot and I'm going to do pretty much the same test as I did yesterday, and how well this carves compared to a Scandi grind. Now this probably go a little bit deeper than the flat grind that I tested yesterday. So you know, we'll see. So the reason why I've chosen this thick to do a notch, which is in the wild you probably wouldn't normally do with a knife, but I'm making it harder for the knife to make a notch. That's why I've chose this thickness rather than a small pencil thickness. Okay, so we'll test the bite first. So put the thumb down on the spine of the blade. Okay, and so there's your stop cut there, quite deep, and we'll see how she goes. Okay, so we'll cut that wood out. Okay, so it's got similar properties to the flat grind of yesterday, but it's working, probably doing a better job because it's got that higher secondary bevel than the flat grind had yesterday. Okay, so we've done about 6, and we'll see if we can knock that out with a push cut right on top of the stop cut. So you can probably hear that crunch. That is the crunch that you need, and just knock it out like that. Okay, and yeah, it cut quite well with that. Quite impressed with that. But how does it compare to yesterday's winner? Still got someone using this morning, so it's getting some bark off. Okay, so yesterday's winner. So I'm going to do another notch below that one. Same pressure, same amount of curls into the notch. So press it down, and straight away, immediately, I noticed that the bite in this is a lot better than obviously on the book. Again, it's because of that grind. It says, if you watch my videos from yesterday, it's obviously what it's designed to do. Okay, so again, we'll carve right up to the notch. I'll get the first piece out of the way, and then we'll go there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so because this edge is thicker, this time I've gone through 8. I'm going to try and push 8 down with this. I think that managed 6, which is probably the maximum I'd go with that. And let's see if this would do it. Okay, so straight again, put the knife on top of your stop cut, your horizontal stop cut, crunch, and carve out. Now it did leave 1 back in. Okay, so technically that's 7. And just clean it up and I'll show you. So depth wise, I'd say would you say they're about the same? Yeah, I'd say they're about the same looking at it. But it was a lot easier with that one. But the book did the same depth, and like I say, this was only slightly easier. So we'll go into something a lot more narrower. Okay, so compare thicknesses again. This is what I started with. Test how deep it bites, and then we'll do a skinnier one. So this is probably maybe half the width of this one, so it should do it better. So again, we'll start with the book. We'll just get all the crap off the blade. The book 124, and this notch here, so I'm going to do a notch just below that one. So again, same as before, put your stop cut in there. Now because this is slightly harder, ever so slightly harder than the other one, I didn't get the depression, the stop cut, as I did with the other one, because the other one's a little bit softer. This is slightly harder. Okay, so I'll do the same again. So I'll go 1, harder to carve, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Try and do as deep as I can go. I've done six times, so I'm going to try and get this material out by doing the push cut on top. So line it up with your stop cut, push down, hear the crunch there, so hear the crunch, knock it out with your thumb. Good job. And that's not bad at all. Brilliant. Okay, so now we're going to do the same again with the Scandi. Wipe the blade again. Scandi, below that one. No, it's about the same, so I'm going to try not to cheat. So it's about the same thickness below that one. So again, we'll do the stop cut. Going slightly deeper, ever so slightly, only by a whisker, than the book. Okay, and we'll go again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we've got 6. Do a push cut from the top of the stop cut, and then crunch down. Okay, so just need to clean that bit up, because on a stop cut it did slip slightly on the bark, which was probably my error, not the knife. So I'm just going to clean that up. Okay, so there we are. Okay, so we've got the book and we've got the barcode. I would say that's pretty much spot on. That's pretty much as deep as they go. Okay, so let's test it with the feathers, the hollow ground with the feathers. Again, I'm going to choose this really hard ash, the same as I did yesterday. So we'll get the book on here first, and yeah, we'll see. Like I said yesterday, very rarely do my feathers either standing up or floating in midair. That's not the way I do it. I'm only doing it for the camera. Okay, so I'm not the best at it. I'm just chesting that edge. Do my feathers vertically like that, and then just move my knife down. Okay, so compared to yesterday, if you remember that the Hudson Bay semi-convex, Scandi-convex, or Scandivex, sorry, struggled to do this. But this is not too shabby. This has done it quite well. Yes, the curls are a little bit thick, but it'll do the job. It's not too bad. Okay, so compare that with, again, with yesterday's winner overall, which is the Barcode Scandi. I'll do it just on the other side. And this is a really joy to hold, this knife. Absolute joy to use. Very comfortable handle. It's a very well designed handle, designed for traders in the industry. But this is not the best wood to be feathering with at all. And again, I did that on purpose. Ash and oak tends to be grainy wood, so it's really hard to feathers. Okay, so Scandi hollow grind. Yeah, you get probably more finer feathers than that, but like I say, it's not the best wood for doing it, but it did it. So looking at the results, obviously feather sticking, the buck gets it. It's got a much sharper kind of the shape of the grind. Okay, so I'm going to cut it off there, and I'm going to do a follow-up to this video on what I think's carry on about knife grinds. Okay, so catch you in the next video. Bye bye for now.